off today because I have a visitor. I'm not all by myself. No matter who we are, that we are to come home and to collect our inheritance. It's the inheritance of love that God is offering us right now. So the theme today I'd like to stay with is that theme of coming home. And it's really, really appropriate right now as the world begins to open up again. There are signs of normal life beginning to pop up all the way around us. Look at Calista. Calista took her first airplane ride. She's in Colorado with her family. Good for you, Calista. Sunday, I was driving to Trader Joe's to pick up a few groceries, and there's a big park near where I live. And for the past year, all I've seen is that yellow caution tape that's covered up all the play equipment, all the tables, and all the benches. Well, with great joy on Sunday, I saw children actually playing on the swings on the jungle gym. And there were lots of people gathered at the picnic benches, eating, drinking, and celebrating life. So last year at this time, our lives came to a halt, to a complete stop. They changed in just a brief amount of time. Each one of us had our lives and our communities disrupted. But now it appears to be the season of coming back, the season of coming home. Even within the Diocese of Orange this last week, regulations have been changed yet again. The bishop announced that we may begin to return, or that we can return to fuller capacity inside of our church, except for us, of course, here at St. Tim's during our remodel. But as we do gather inside or outside, the recommended space between us has been reduced from 6 feet apart to 3 feet apart. Great news. Also, they announced that new science shows that there's very little transference of the virus via items being touched. So that means that the cleansing of the pews, the disinfecting and everything is going to be lessened now. Also, big, great news is small groups can again start gathering on site. So we're getting closer. So isn't this even appropriate? It's the season of Easter. All things new, new possibilities, new birth, new life. So now we have to decide, who will we become now? It all sounds so wonderful. In reality, it's been what I've wanted for the past year. I've wanted to be together again, but all of a sudden it feels very foreign. So when I reflected, I began to realize that what made me feel foreign was all these barriers that have been against me in the outside world since last March. One of my largest barriers, the thing between me constantly, is my computer. My computer and Zoom have been a thorn in my side because I can't see the whole you. I can't experience the whole you through this screen, and I've really missed that. At the same time, this darn computer and Zoom have been an enormous blessing in my life. Without it, we wouldn't be able to be together at all. So I have to remind myself and celebrate the amazing things that we've done via Zoom, the lessons we've learned, the storytelling, the books, the parties. Blessed are we among women. The other blessing from Zoom is that I have saved a lot of money on clothes shopping. And maybe you have too, because we've only seen each other from the waist up, or actually just from the chest up. So I have grown exceptionally comfortable in my casual dress style. I'm wondering, will I ever wear real pants again? I'm now very accustomed to leggings and to jeans. In fact, on Tuesday night, I gave a presentation to the Ignatian group. It was a chilly night, so little did they know I was in my pajama bottoms and slippers when I presented. So I'm asking myself, am I ready to grow up again? Real clothes, real shoes? I'm not quite sure. In fact, it's funny. I did wear real shoes. I was trying to grow up. This week, I put on a pair of shoes and now I have a blister on my heel. So I'm wearing a pair of slip-ons today because those real shoes hurt. I think another barrier for me has been these darn face masks. They truly have made me into a different person. As much as I've tried to smile with my eyes at people, I feel very disconnected, even when I'm at the very busy Costco in line. Though we have to speak louder to be understood while wearing these face masks, I believe they've also silenced us. Facial expressions can reveal so much without words, but we can no longer decipher each other's facial expressions. And the words I found are much less. I don't experience the normal chit chat at the grocery store line or the post office. Everyone seems to be in their own little world, especially for those of us who wear glasses. My glasses fog up, so all I can see is myself, my interior. I found that the surgical mask that has the plastic nose guard or the metal nose guard is the best for me, less fogging up of the glasses. Yet those surgical masks have little particles that you breathe in. I never cough until I start wearing those darn masks. And then when I start coughing, everybody around me scatters as fast as they possibly can. I really love Monsignor Urel here at the office. He has allergies, I have allergies. If you hear him cough or sneeze, he yells as loud as he can, allergies, so that nobody thinks he has COVID. But even here at the office, face masks are mandatory. Most people here have been wearing not one mask, but two. And I think I shared with you guys already that I have not seen Stephen, the administrator at the front desk. I haven't seen his face in a year. And yet we were on a Zoom meeting one day and I didn't recognize him because he has this giant full-on beard. I didn't recognize a man that I work with 3 days a week because of these darn masks. And then there was a moment recently that I had when I didn't think God recognized me. After we sold our home, my husband and I drove up to Lake Tahoe to have a few days of relaxation. And my husband started calling around at the local churches to see if there might be an inside mass someplace since it was so cold outside. So we found one priest that said he was going to be saying mass for a handful of people, and he did invite us to come. Unfortunately, my husband got mixed up and we drove to the wrong church. So by the time we got to the correct church, mass had just ended. This lady was so kind. She says, just run back to the sacristy. I'm sure Father will give you communion. Well, in our total amazement, the priest said, you know what? I'll just say mass again. So he did this just for Tom and I. I sat down in the front row and we were at least 20 feet away from the priest. And he says, you know what? Just take off your masks. So I did. I thought, wow, no mask in church. But when I removed my mask, I gasped out loud. And I thought to myself, oh my God, do you recognize me without my mask on? It was the strangest feeling. He's only seen me in church with a mask. So many questions entered my mind after that. Can I come home? Is this my home? Does God recognize me here? Did he miss me? I felt like a foreigner in another land. And then there was that gasp when I questioned if God recognized me or not. It was a natural body reaction. It was out of my control. So what did that gasp mean? What was that feeling? Was it fear? Was it relief? I couldn't decide at the moment, and I'm still questioning my reaction today. Could it have been a sound of joy, a sound of freedom, or could it have been a sound of pain, like pulling the scab off of a wound? I just recently read National Geographic's article on the psychology of screams, and they state that humans have 6 acoustically distinct screams: pain, anger, fear, joy, passion, and sadness. And based on brain scans, they have found that people most easily recognize joyful screams than any other categories. Our brains light up when we hear like the crowd swooning over a pop star. It's much duller to the sound of a blood-curdling wail. So what category was my gasp? Why did the mask make my feelings so unrecognizable? Did the mask make me feel numb? The answer was simply no. The mask has not made me numb because I've also experienced great consolations during this time of COVID. Take my private mass. What a wonderful moment. What a generous priest, a true gift to Tom and I. And then I'm filled with awe and wonder at the many people who have risked their lives during this pandemic: doctors, nurses, ambulance drivers, taxi cab drivers. Do you remember the story of the taxi cab driver who offered free rides to COVID patients to the hospital? Or in Boston, there was a team of Jesuit priests who anointed patient after patient in the hospital and in the ICUs. I also love the images in my mind of all the musicians in Italy that were sitting on their balconies, giving world-class performances to their neighbors. Or still one of my favorites, the grandparents who wrapped themselves in trash bags, sealed off with duct tape, and then put on a deep sea diving mask and a snorkel just so they could go hug their children and their grandchildren in safety. There have been so many acts of human kindness towards one another during this time. Personally, I cannot tell you how many nature walks I've taken just to breathe fresh air, or how many puzzles I've completed and exchanged with my neighbors and my friends, or how many online masses I've attended. First, my husband and I were very respectful. We sat in the living room. Then all of a sudden we found ourselves, having an appetizer during Mass. Later on, we were having cocktails at Mass. And then finally, and most recently, we find ourselves in bed with a cup of coffee, cuddled up together, watching online Mass. So I told Monsignor a few months back, I said, I think when the church comes back together, we need to start offering food and beverage like those fancy Cineplex theaters. It'll be a way to make some money. I don't think he liked that idea, but it was just an idea. But all of us have memories of this past year. All of us have stories of our lives during the pandemic. And we are all now journeying back home together. I want to feel welcomed. And as Henry Nouwen suggests, we can become like the Father, and we can also welcome others back home, because blessed are we among women. We are called to be like Mary Magdalene, to go out and tell the world that he's alive. In him, we find our real home. So today, we're going to spend some time reflecting on each of our journeys during this past year. We all know that this particular time will forever be marked and remembered in history, the period of the COVID pandemic. So we're going to reflect on our own stories from beginning to end. What are your thoughts, your memories? What are your losses, your joys? What have been your fears? I sent a copy in the email yesterday. It's called A Process for Storytelling. You're going to find questions that you can reflect on if your mind doesn't generate them all by themselves. But we want you to, well, I'll just review the thing. You're going to reflect on your spiritual and cultural journey. It's called cultural also because each of us in ourselves, we can live in different cultures. I was raised in military culture. People are, nationalities are a different culture, but there's many cultures. So that will make a difference in our stories. We're going to reflect and we're going to think about significant people and events that shaped us during this time. And take a few notes, but don't try to just zoom in on one thing. We want to get a broad spectrum. And you want both negative and positive aspects of this experience. After you've done that, you're going to start creating little images. You can, if you're an artist, go for it and draw. I've seen many amazing artists make images for this storytelling. But if you need something else, if you need a magazine, if you need something, you can do that. But you want to be able to tell a story. You maybe make a pathway and tell a story along the way, what has happened to you. And then after we do this, then we're going to share our stories in small groups. So I'm going to give everybody 30 minutes to do this. I'll play some music, but get yourself a piece of paper. Think about your journey and consider also what it feels like now coming home. Okay, I'm going to turn on some music. Enjoy your time. I don't know either.
Well, it did on the video last week because that's.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you had lovely conversations. So next week, we will be doing a video series with Bishop Barron. So there's nothing to read anymore, which is no homework for a little while. That's so lovely. We'll enjoy Bishop Barron next week. And then remember the hospitality committee, if you could please stay on so we can talk about how we're going to celebrate the end of this season. I was going to use another poem, but Betty Foy wrote a beautiful poem that is so appropriate for today's theme. So as a closing prayer, I would like to use that. Betty calls this prayerful insight. You sit at the gate of my heart. Your outstretched hands beckon me. Your tender voice calls. In my eagerness, I run to you, excited to feel the warmth of your love, the smile on my face evident of my adoration. Suddenly I stop. My smile fades. I look in the mirror of imperfection. My flaws glare at me and shadow me like a thunderstorm. They darken my appearance and outshout my too small voice. The feeling of not being good enough restrains me. You, my God, are waiting. I avert my eyes, but when you call my name, I know I must respond. I'm not worthy, Lord, I cry out. Mistakes overflow in my life. Although I try, I fail so many times. What can I offer? What can I give? My child, the Lord says, do not judge yourself harshly or measure your life by this world's standards. You are made in my likeness, and my measure comes from compassion and love. I fill your soul with goodness, and within your heart, I whisper love. Walk with me, and I will set you on a path of freedom where you will grow in love and joy. Your words overcome my resistance. I step back from the mirror. A new understanding settles within. I begin to see why you so patiently waited. I am made in your likeness. I am all that you want me to be. I will walk into the light of your love, ready to reveal the me I'm just getting to know. The focus of my lens is changing. There's no need to fill my world with busyness or seek direction from popular trends. I strive to clearly see you and clearly hear your call. This life astounds and perplexes me. Understanding comes only when I reflect on the past. When I was broken, you gave me strength, and in my sorrow, you led me to wisdom. The key to my life is not a reflection from a mirror, but a prayerful insight into my soul, where Christ draws me ever closer in love and radiant joy. Amen. Have a wonderful week, everybody. God bless you all. Happy Easter. I look forward to seeing you next Thursday.
Thank you, Betty. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Gorgeous.